It's not every day that you are in the presence of a real life kick-ass superhero. But today is your lucky day because I am here with the Javicia Leslie. You may recognize her from, a little show, a little character called Batwoman, okay, on the CW. She's been on The Flash, and she is here today to talk about her new movie, Paramount's Double Life, in which the badassery continues. Okay, it gets no sleep. In the movie, she plays a mistress of an unknowing mistress, and she teams up with the man's wife to find out all kinds of crazy stuff, very action-packed, after he has a very untimely death. So there's one thing that seems to be a through line of her work, which is kind of this heroic fearlessness that we all know. The fearlessness can't be canceled. So Javicia, welcome to Cancel Me, Baby. And like I said, there seems to be a through line, girl, between your real life. I looked at, your Instagram and your message and your presence and these movies. It is just that sort of hero stepping into the no fear zone.
Thank you, Taylor. I think, I was talking about this earlier where it's like, there is probably an essence in me that's very similar to the roles that I've played where I probably get that from my mom and she probably got that from her mother. And it's a very generational thing, or maybe it's just a very like woman thing where we will get done what needs to be done. And we will protect the people that we love at all costs. And so that's kind of what all of these roles have felt like.
It's so true. I feel like it's funny. Something came up and I just said this to my mom the other day, but I feel like she's my hero in the sense of in times of crises, it's like that woman, that matriarchal thing, you're right, of just keeping calm, keeping your shit together and like doing what has to be done.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be the loudest action in the room, but it's the one that it just is so inspiring and speaks volumes. And that obviously shines through in your work.
Definitely. I think it's like a forward movement thing, like get it done.
Yeah. Talk to me about, because I feel like we're in an era of instant gratification. And I love even like when it comes to Batwoman, you have this post on your Instagram talking about how something like that you dreamt about and manifested as a little girl and made it, come to fruition. And I feel like we always see the success and we don't ever see what leads up to it, right? The struggle and the hustle. So you have all of this success. Obviously, you have this theme again in your work of this, this hero type person. But talk to me about a time people might not know about, Javicia, like behind the scenes when you really had to advocate for yourself. Maybe it was like in a meeting or with execs, or a time when you really had to step into your power and be like, this is the moment.
I think something that comes in mind, it's not just a one-time thing. I think I still go through this sometimes where I'll get an opportunity and let's say it's an audition and I'll go to the audition or I'll send the tape in and they may say no. And the first thing I want to know is why.
Do you ask?
Yeah.
I love that. That takes balls because most people are like, oh, here, another one. Okay, bites the dust, on to the next.
But if I'm looking at the work and I know I fit the age, I fit the look, the energy, then I want to know why, because how am I supposed to grow as an artist if you don't tell me why? And I know a lot of times they may not have the time to, but if they have the time to and they tell me, I then tape again. All I need is a note, because nowadays we don't even get to go into the room. We're doing our self-tapes in our home. So we're not getting a chance to be redirected.
Right.
So especially with self-tapes, I'll always ask my team to go reach out and find out why not. And then if it's in the room, I say, still find out why not. And then I'll go home and tape it. But I just never take no as the only answer. I need to learn from everything. And how am I going to grow if I don't expand beyond what I'm able to do? And the only way to be able to do that is to learn new and other ways to approach something, because sometimes it's just perspective. Maybe I came at this with a different perspective than what they're looking for, and as soon as they tell me what they're looking for, I'm like, oh, got it, cool.
No fear. And I love that. I have to remind myself of that, and I that's my attitude too. It's like, in a business, we both know that's rejection after this. And exactly, you never know what they want. The not taking a no for an answer is, again, it may not be the loudest, flashiest, action, but it can make you feel this internal power and really, again, move mountains.
Yeah, definitely.
With that being said, I feel like we are in a sort of society and a climate that rewards or gives, a megaphone to people who, to victimhood, right? To almost like the boy who cried wolf. And again, I feel like you are so not that, whether it be your roles, whether it be your socials, whether it be your message, it's always just through and through, like this boss bitch. I came in, I got the job, I'm doing the work, and I'm making my dreams happen, and you can too. And I love that, because I'm always in a time when everyone's like kicking and screaming. I'm always a advocate for action speak louder. And I feel like that is you. So talk to me about, and it may be an unlikely thing for your audiences or your fans, but when do you feel most stepped into your power?
Thank you. And I feel most stepped into my power when I get to speak to people. We do a lot of things on set, and we're on stages, and we're behind, we're in front of, we're in a controlled situation. I don't get to speak to people a lot of times. So when I'm not working, I have the opportunity to speak to groups of people or even one-on-one conversations. Yeah. I think that my journey in life is about also sharing what I've learned. I used to have a fear about sharing what I've learned, because I thought that, well, what if this isn't right and I don't want to guide someone the wrong way? It doesn't matter. This is my journey. And if any part of my journey can help you, I'm here to give it. And so I feel in my own power when I'm able to give my power to other people, when I'm able to show how I got to where I'm at. And that right there makes me feel like, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes. It's like passing on. It's almost like the battle wounds and being like, I did this, I persevered, and being able to enlighten somebody with that is like chef's kiss. No lies there. No lies detected. How about when you're actually, even as it pertains to this movie, right? Like, how about when you're actually on set? Is there a certain, like, is it a one-liner? Is it like, even with Batwoman, like you got the leather jackets? Is it like the pointing the gun? Is it like the fighting? Like, what is it that's just like, damn, this is it. Like, this is power.
I don't know that it's ever like those one-liners, because those can be tricky. They can feel like, and so those aren't the moments that I feel super powerful. I think that usually whenever I get to work with someone that hasn't had the opportunity to see this, I work in Vancouver a lot. So there's a lot of people that have not seen a Black woman in these roles that I've played in lately. And so to see them see me means that they see us. And I think that that's super powerful. So I don't know if it's ever been a one-liner, but it's like being authentically who I am in this moment, in this role, is when I feel powerful.
Exactly. And it's what I said before, that idea of like actions speak louder, like actions are everything. And it's like seeing it, that's it right there, right? Like that's all we need. When you say the one-liners and you kind of laugh, do you mean that it's like sometimes they're kind of cheesy?
Yeah, of course.
She's like, I'm not saying that, but, so, okay. In this movie, I feel like there have been so many iterations in pop culture of the idea of like the two timing, even in music, right? Like The Boy Is Mine with Brandy and Monica, iconic, Beautiful Liar, Beyonce and Shakira, of course, iconic, or the movie like The Other Woman, right? What do you feel it is about this story that adds something, that brings something totally different to that, idea?
I think that's okay. Well, first of all, the biggest thing that's different is that they end up working together. In most films that we see where there is like this like two-timing man, that the women are against each other, and don't get me wrong, the man doesn't win in the end ever. Like that's the whole point of the film. But the women don't come together until the very end, if they do. These two women have to come together very early on. So really you get to watch the tension, the conflict, the resolution at times, but then maybe sometimes the reopening those wounds. You get to watch that whole journey while also finding out who the killer is. But then the other thing also is like, let's indulge in that. Why be so different? why try to be opposite of that? We like it for a reason. Sometimes you want to see you want to see the drama. Sometimes you want to see the beautiful liar.
True.
Sometimes you want to see the boy is mine.
It's a good
Because
point.
it's interesting, because a lot of us deal with it. A lot of people are dealing with, he's still dating her and I'm dating him and she dating. That's people's real. This is the empathetic campfire that we all share. And it's a common story, you know? And so it's like, there's a little bit of that indulgence, but then there's also this like superpower that these two women have, that they're able to kind of put their troubles aside at times and come together and really like solve this case.
I feel like I love how you just it's always hard to get deep in like 10-minute junkets, you know that, but I feel like you just like innately have that thing, as do I. It's like we just go there, but I'm going to go deep for a second. But beyond that, yes, I love how you're like, it doesn't have to always be the yay, rah, rah, like the women on the team. You're like, this shit is real life sometimes when it's the other way. You know, my show's all about breaking out of boxes, whether it be what we are as women. Like I'm a big advocate of like, you know, we can be sexy and the sex objects and be the brain and be the businesswoman. It's like, we can be everything, right? In terms of like kind of what you're getting at too with relationships, I feel like our society puts us in these little neat little boxes. It's like, you know, the guy is the bad guy. The other girl, she's the bad one. How dare she, even though he's the one, you know? And I feel like even in my own life, I've really have seen, it's like, love is so expansive is what I'm getting at. And it doesn't have to be in these little neat boxes that we put on ourselves, right? Through our society, you know?
Yeah, I think that we all have to give each other space and grace. And I think monogamy is the most unnatural thing that we all do, yet we try our hardest to do it. And that's why you have to give each other space and grace. I don't think there are many animals on this planet that are monogamous. You know what I mean? No.
Okay. Are you like in my diary? Because this is something I've literally have been conversing with my own partner about on the daily. He's very much with you where you are with it. And I'm like, but it's the boxes we put ourselves in that I fall victim to. My brain's like, can't compute what? But again, it's like, we block ourselves of what's true or joy because of these limitations or these rules, right?
Or you're creating joy by making rules, because sometimes you get into, especially when you're like in your 30s, you're like, okay, this does not work for me. This is a trigger for me. The rule is I don't want this in my life. Now that you don't have that in life, you have joy. These boxes weren't created. Okay, don't get me wrong. Our world is designed based off of a certain type of belief system that is for men, white men mainly, where us as women, it wasn't built for us per se to be the type of women that we are. However, outside of that, a lot of the boxes we talk about are out of trial and error, right? The point of monogamy at this point is because if men and women were out there having sex with a bunch of people, there's diseases, there's kids that don't have parents in the household, there's all kinds of things. So we created these quote unquote rules to be able to have a working society, a society that works in a healthy family structure. So it makes sense why there are the rules. You just have to figure out what rules work for you. And then you have to understand that the same circumstances and everything that you've done in the life that makes you tailor the however many years you've been here, that other person has had a totally different life. And just because they come to you doesn't mean that all of a sudden they're going to throw out everything that makes them them so that they can be with you. You have to take people for who they are, give them grace, give them space. And sooner or later, you guys will start speaking the same language, or if not, at least a common language.
And we put our own structures on everyone else. And I love what you said about monogamy. And sure, like, you know, in this movie, you have like a man with, you know, the wife and the mistress. But I love, even back to what you said, it's like maybe these rules put in place by the white man. But truth is truth, people. There's truth in that. If we're going back, it's like these are structures put in place, right, to contain women and to be like, you have to be in this little.
I don't think monogamy was put in place by the white man, but I feel you. I'm still listening.
But well, if we're really going back, it's even like if you go back to like the rules of like the church and this and that of like keeping women, you know, in their place. It's like property, that idea, like don't step out of line or you're this or you're not useful or whatever. Now we're breaking out of these molds in society, but all that goes to say, you as a woman to say that, I feel like is super refreshing because of that. I mean, this is a very complex thing, but because of that long rooted history and obviously how it's so deeply seated in our society, but like as a woman for you to say that is super refreshing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's the whole game. It's not working. Like, what are we doing here?
Definitely. Just give each other grace.
With that being said, lastly, how do you see this movie or this story playing out, Javicia, if it were a woman at the crux with two guys, like the husband and the boy toy? How would that go down?
Why haven't we made that? Do we have that? We don't have.
Do we have this?
I think we have it, but we don't have it in that capacity. Usually what they do in those films, they make one of the guys kind of psycho, right? Like if the woman is having an affair, then that guy ends up being like psycho and is trying to kill everybody. They never actually just have two normal, healthy people that she's dating, that she's having a good time with, you know?
How about like Jennifer Lopez with The Boy Next Door? I know it wasn't necessarily, but same thing, like Ryan Guzman, the hot actor, crazy. So true.
In the movie, Lucas did, Lucas from MacGyver. He did the movie where he was dating like an older woman, and I think it might have been Sharon Stone or something. I think it was Sharon Stone, and she was married, and she was kind of like messing around with him. I don't remember because I've only seen the movie once. But it's like, why does it always have to be like that? Why can't we have two eligible, amazing bachelors to choose from? Not one is not a bachelor. He's my husband. You know what I mean?
Exactly. What does that say about us? Like we're trying to pick, as many as there may be, some upstanding, gentlemen here.
What it's saying is that we need to write more films.
Okay, so here's what's going to happen. We're going to do an anthology. We're going to have you at the center this time. Okay, as the two-timer, perhaps, with the men who actually aren't batshit crazy and somewhat have it going on.
Let's do it, but don't kill me. Don't kill my character.
Just don't kill her off. No, just don't kill her off. And lastly, before I let you go, I am curious because I know you're like, whoa, that's not what I said. That's weird, but I'm with you on this journey. Because again, that is a little bit of the crux of this movie. Like, where do you think the roots of monogamy come from and why it is such a thing for us?
What's interesting? I think it's much later in later years, because in biblical times it wasn't monogamy. I mean, it might have been their version of it because it was one man and a bunch of women, but
right.
Monogamy, I think it was probably our country. I wouldn't say first, but in our country, as women are expensive, families are expensive. I'm pretty sure they probably had to start like, all right, I'm just gonna do one wife and 2 or 3 kids. I don't really know where it comes from. I know it's been here for a long time at this point. And I personally prefer a monogamous relationship. But I just always give grace because I don't think it's very natural, because if it was natural, then the moment I'm with someone, then I would no longer be attracted to anyone else. Mm-hmm. Why would something be natural that I have to fight every single day?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even if you are obsessively in love with your person, it doesn't mean that when someone else that has features, not even physical features, I'm talking about like personality attributes in themselves that are turn ons for you, that you notice, like that's not something you can just deny. You just choose not to act on it.
Right. It's like you're suddenly asexual and have no eyeballs. And it's like, well, that was scarecrow now. Officially, that's that. Well, listen, this has been so much fun. And, to bring it all back to the beginning, I love it because it's like stepping out of, what I said, these boxes or these expectations or these rules, whatever it may be around, women, around love, around relationships. Again, we're set with these expectations and these rules. And as it pertains to this movie, to your work, it's like breaking out of that and choosing for yourself is power, and it is living without fear. So amen to that.
Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you so much. How fun. What a great time talking to you, and good luck with the movie.
Thanks.
Thank you for your wisdom. I love it. Here for it all day.